Me, you all hear some travelers coming up on the path ahead. Warlock, I jump off the path and blend in as the trees. Rogue, me too. Warlock, passes with flying colors. Rogue, rolls 5. Warlock blends in perfectly with the foliage, while the rogue stands at the side of the road, strikes a T-pose, and shouts tree noises at the top of his lungs every 30 seconds. Table, dies laughing. Me, the travelers roll up to where the rogue is and are very alarmed by the tree noises. Warlock, I roll deception to convince them that both I and the rogue are trees. Also Warlock, rolls 22. Me, okay, you walk out into the path while maintaining a perfect T-pose. Warlock, hello. I am a tree. And I am here to tell you that, there, is also a tree. Rogue, tree noises. Me, the travelers accept this without question and pay homage to the very obviously a tree that is so politely talking to them. In a campaign, that was lovingly titled the Frilled Up Campaign, because it was in no way, shape or form, serious. It was in this campaign that our DM realized the foolishness of DMPCs. I played a wizard. An 80-year-old wizard. I bargained with the DM to buy down my wisdom so that I would have an intelligence of 20 at the start. We were all fairly new. My wisdom was 6. I argued that he was going senile, but highly intelligent nonetheless. After traveling with the party for a while, one of the characters turned to me and asked, "So, where did you come from anyways?" Hoping to learn of my backstory, without missing a beat, I started, "Well, you see boy, when a man loves a woman very, very much, we had to stop play for about 5 minutes or so." I felt quite proud of myself. DnD this time. The party basically get themselves an airship. The captain of the airship is a PC and he decides that we're going to visit another country, basically to show off how awesome our airship is. The one problem with this is the country we visit is run by a council of mages who are dead set against technological change. To cut a long story short, we are asked to leave and start to voyage home. Unfortunately, one mage decides he's going to take the matter further, and attacks us on the way home. We kill him in pretty short order, but not before he turns the PC captain into a penguin. So we get back to our country and visit the general of the army to convince him that we were attacked by mages from this other country. He asks for proof and I slap down this penguin on his desk. Me, that was our captain. General, that was your captain? Me, yeah, they turned him into a penguin. General, can you prove this? Me, yeah, sure, no problem. Now talking to the other PC. Okay Pedge, the penguin, what's 3 plus 1? Pedge, quack, 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 quack? Needless to say the general didn't believe us. Pedge's excuse was that it's hard to count in quacks. An intensive discussion in the gaming group followed, as to whether penguins actually quack. Our party was chasing a guy down for the church and the entire module had been based around this chase. Anyways, we ended up coming to a gateway he jumped through, so we followed him through the portal. Anyways, our 5-person party came through the other side and the DM says, "You're standing on a long stretch of hard rock that's very smooth." Paladin, what do we see around us? DM, as far as you can see is grasslands. It's nighttime and very dark. You also see a large moving object charging towards you full speed down the long stretch of rock. It's huge, with one glowing white eye, breathing smoke and roaring at you very loudly. Paladin, I draw my sword and charge. DM, shakes his head, rolls some dice. Paladin, you're dead. Paladin, what the hell? Comes to find out, we had stepped through a portal into present time and the thing charging down the highway was an 18-wheeler with a headlight blown out, blowing its horn for them to get off the road. He charged the 18-wheeler and it ran over him and killed him. My friends and I, and my sister, started playing 4E recently. We don't play much seeing everyone's at uni and I don't have time to prepare the encounters. When we were playing our first adventure my friends were reluctant to do any actual role playing, so being the book whore that I am, I quoted directly from the DM's guide, quoted films or books or anything. My sister takes her turn, charging a kobold and screams, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker." Needless to say it put my friends and I into fucking hysterics, and embarrassed my sister. She's not used to being found funny. Unfortunately I don't think she killed the kobold, that would have taken the cake. I was DMing with 5 friends, many sessions into a fun campaign. Crack squad of level 6 to 7 characters. 2nd ed. D&D, they were exploring an undead-infested keep, original D&D Tower of Evil boxed set, reworked by me. In the basement they met the boss, a vampiric mage. The final fight began. It went on for a few rounds, then the wild mage got a random wild magic effect. All hell broke loose. The player rolled for a truly random effect, by the book. Random planar creature summoned. Picked a random plane, archer on. Random monster table, yikes, I forget what it was called, but it was basically a demonic tornado that sucked up weapons around it, and used them all to attack. Big. Nasty. The vampire whimpered and turned to mist, fleeing to its lair. The players fled in horror. But, one was webbed by the vampire, and died. Another was paralyzed while running, by a nearby hiding ghoul, dead. Another forgot which way to go, and ran right into a basilisk room. Not technically dead, but one survivor made it outside. Ironically, it was the wild mage. But he forgot about the wyvern they avoided when entering the tower, and died. We all agreed, it was a great end to the campaign. Now, before I begin, I have to explain that these things happen to very new D&D players, and are a result of lack of experience, not from stupidity. Well, not only from stupidity. Also, all of these stories are from 3ed/3.5. A party, containing a new player playing a paladin, are trying to get into a castle in a foreign city. The paladin was recently told of what the code of conduct is, and is still trying to work out how to run a paladin without ruining the campaign. Well, didn't work out so well. A guard asks the paladin what his business is, and he promptly answers, "I'm here to murder the queen." A party is trying to get through a locked gate, but there are no rogues, so lock-picking is out of the question. There is one player in the party who everyone loves to pick on, and D&D is the best place to do it. The party gang up on, hold him down, and tie him up. Then, they proceed to use his head as a battering ram. Well, at least they got the gate open. A party of all new players is on their first mission. DM is relatively new as well. The mission is to explore an uncharted area of a map and find a rainbow-colored mountain, kill a bunch of gnolls doing rituals there, and bring back proof that the mountain exists. The wizard doesn't quite grasp the idea of evidence, so he says he wants to draw a picture of the mountain to use as proof. He doesn't have paint, a canvas, or even enough parchment to draw on. Still, he doesn't hesitate, and takes off his robe in order to draw on it. He realizes that he has no paint, so he decides to stab himself with a dagger and use his blood as paint. He also decides that his robes are not a proper canvas, so he uses a triangle-shaped rock. As the rest of the party tries to explain that you can't draw a rainbow-colored mountain with blood, but our attention is taken away by the monk, who takes this opportunity to steal the wizard's robe and throw it off the edge of the mountain. At this point, we are left with a robe-less wizard with a red painted rock in his hand, and a DM who will have nightmares for years to come. In a game I was DMing, the players had to travel through untamed forests to reach another city. Only 2 of the players could be there that night, but I'm a pretty lenient DM when it comes to attendance. Well, we played anyway. But I didn't change any of the planned encounters. Kel was a barbarian/sorcerer who prestiged into spell sword. Zach was a drow ranger, only used his bow to avoid the Drizzt references. They were riding down the road when a green dragon ambushed them. They failed their ride checks and got thrown from their horses, who ran away. They held their own against the dragon for a short time, when the guy playing Kel suddenly gets a gleam in his eyes. A couple of sessions ago they had used some dust of drying to dry up a large body of water. Kel had collected the stones that were left. 3.5 rules state that if the stone is broken, all of the water that was absorbed is released in a sudden torrent of water. Kel turns to Zach and tells him to shoot him somewhere really sensitive. Zach successfully hits with a called shot to the groin, which causes the dragon to roar in pain. As soon as it roars, Kel tosses the stone down the dragon's throat. After a couple of rounds the dragon's stomach acid has damaged the stone enough that it ruptures. Water gushed from the dragon's every orifice for a couple of rounds, causing massive internal damage, and leaving him open to a coup de grace from Kel's greatsword. The guys named this maneuver, the dragon enema. My wife and I never agree on what type of milk to purchase. She drinks skim milk, whereas I prefer whole milk. As a result, we usually buy both kinds. Shortly after our first child was born she decides to cook up a batch of brownies for the game. They come out of the oven just as the game is about to start, and she brings them into the game room. The entire group digs in, and players start to comment about how good they are. My wife then says, "And they're healthy for you too, because they were made with my milk." As the players begin to gag and spit out the food, she realizes what she said, and explains that she meant skim milk.